What's up, Michigan fans? Welcome back to the Maize and Bluebeard podcast, where we talk all things Michigan football and basketball. MWB in the place to be. Go Blue. Thank you so much for being here. We have had a busy couple of weeks and longer between the coaching search and the transfer portal. Everything has just been coming flying at us, right? So I just wanted to take a breath, take a step back, and look back at the transfer portal signees that Kyle Whittingham and staff have brought in. Take a look at each of them and talk about what they bring to the table and why I think each and every one of them was a very important move and how they're going to help out with each position group that they're a part of. And also, now that the news has calmed down some, look for my coaching staff series to kick off this week, where I'm going to look at each coach in a video, from Kyle Whittingham to Jason Beck to Jay Hill, to each position group coach and the assistants and analysts that they've gotten that are just out of this world. I cannot wait to break it all down, let you know these coaches and their past and their history so that you can get excited. So look forward to that. But today we're going to focus on this amazing transfer portal class that was ranked within the top 10 by ESPN, among other media outlets. So let's get into it on this episode of Maize and Bluebeard Podcast. Let's do it. So the timing of Sharon Moore getting fired and Kyle Whittingham getting hired was not the best for the transfer portal, right? It was right before it. Kyle Whittingham took over when it was holiday break. The team that was there is preparing for a bowl game, but he hit the ground running. He went straight down to that bowl game. He met with players one-on-one, and he just kicked off retention first and foremost, which was incredible. And I'll talk all about that in another video. Once the dust settles more, we may have some more additions and things like that to talk about. But then he got his staff together, and then they got going on the transfer portal. Now, did it hurt them starting a little late? Even though he was there technically before the portal opened, you had all these coaching staffs that were already in place and had been working on things behind the scenes already that he wasn't able to do. So the fact that he was able to do what he did with this class was pretty impressive, and I want to go through it one by one and talk about why I think each one is great. So we're going to start off with something that I'm always excited about, and I catch some flack for in the comments, usually from other teams' fans poking fun at me, but you know what? It's all right. I love special teams. I always have. I've always been a fan of special teams, and I I love having a punter that has a big leg and can be a weapon and can flip the field, get punts, get a team stuck down inside the 5. Like, that's just fun to me. I love that. I love when you have good gunners and special team guys, that special team ace players that'll go down and can down a punt, because that is an art and fun thing to watch all in itself. And we had pretty decent special teams under Harbaugh. I think they're going to be even better now under Whittingham. I mean, Kerry Combs, what an under the radar hire that was already, and then to keep him by Whittingham, to know how great he was. I mean, just recruiting, he's awesome, but you could see in that Texas bowl game how much of a difference it made already, especially in the return game. But we had terrible punting, and Zavada was leaving and gone, so we didn't have a kicker. So there was a lot of holes in that special team room that they had to figure out what to do with. And they knocked it out of the park with the transfer portal because right away they got rolling. We got 2 long snappers, one a veteran from Pitt, Nico Crawford, who's going to be a 5th-year senior, has been around. He has so many long snaps that he's done, so he's going to be great, reliable, knows what he's doing. And then you bring in a young guy, because they had one in the recruiting class, but he dropped out. He left after they got Nico Crawford. So they got one in the transfer portal, Gavin Magorian from Marshall, who did a fantastic job, and he was only a freshman, so he's got a lot of time. He can learn from Nico Crawford, and then he can take over, and we keep going. We've got continuity because it seems like people write it off, but if you've got continuity there, like, well, I'll talk about it at the end because this is what's exciting. He was a freshman. Then you bring in a punter, and it's like, oh my gosh, Cam Brown from UNLV. He had a 70-yard punt last year. We had some punts that didn't even go 7 yards for Michigan. Now you got this guy that can boom it like that. Pretty exciting stuff. I cannot wait to see him punt. And he was only a freshman, so he's got 3 years of eligibility. And then you bring in a kicker from Pitt who already is used to having the ball snapped back from Nico Crawford, Trey Butkowski. And this guy is super accurate, does not miss very many field goals, and his long was only a 48 at Pitt. So people were worried, oh, maybe he doesn't have a big leg. But like I said in the video before, I looked into it thanks to a comment from one of you awesome subscribers to let me know that he had a record at the high school he went to for a 56-yarder. I think it was upper 50s. But pretty impressive. And I looked in and read more into it, and he had said that he would practice beyond 60 in practice and felt comfortable doing it. So he's got a big leg. He just didn't have the chance to showcase it at Pitt. But he'll definitely get the chance if he can do it at Michigan, which is exciting. And a little side note, I'll throw these in a little bit because they also added to their 2026 recruiting class with a few players that were just brilliant ads since they came in. I'm not going to talk about their whole recruiting class, but just the couple that they added that I think were huge. And one is here, Jason Baguette, the number 8 kicker in the country. They added him in, and he is super accurate too, has a big leg. In high school, he already has a long of 47 or 48. He was 6 of 7 on field goals. But he describes his approach to kicking the ball is just murdering the ball. So you gotta love that. That's pretty awesome. So you add him in there. So now you've got a kicker with 3 years of eligibility left. You have a punter with 3 years of eligibility left. You have a veteran long snapper, and then you have a great young long snapper with 3 years of eligibility left, learning under him. And you've got a kicker coming in who could redshirt and be here to through all of that as well. So talk about continuity in that special teams room. Pretty awesome. And you want to talk about return? We'll get to him a little bit later, but I'll mention him here because I can mention him in different position groups. But let's talk about another technically recruit, but seemed like a transfer portal get, and that is Salesi Moa, who is going to play some at receiver. He's going to play some at defensive back, and he's going to return some kicks and punts. And Andrew Marsh did a great job, so he might still return some kicks and punts. You worry about a starter getting too much. That's why I wouldn't mind if he did it because he's electric, but I don't want him to overdo it and get injured. So I think Salesi Moa, that can be another role that he could carve out as he is an incoming freshman. But all in all, the special teams is going to be awesome. And they did an incredible job with turning the special teams room around between the special teams coach and all the players they got, and just the foresight and the thought process to be like, let's get all these players that are young, have all this talent, and they can grow together and have this continuity for the next few years. And it's just so awesome. We don't have to worry about special teams. It's amazing. I mean, even under Harbaugh, it felt like there were some years where it's like, oh, who's the kicker this year? Like figuring it out last minute. So that is already a sign of the breath of fresh air and the incredible smart football minds that we have in charge at Michigan now. Exciting stuff. So then we got a big one that nobody saw coming, which has turned into a very interesting situation as time has gone on. But from Oklahoma, running back Taylor Tatum, who was a 5-star recruit, the number 1 running back recruit in the 2024 class, which Jordan Marshall, who is a beast, was number 5 in that class. He had a great freshman year, Taylor Tatum, at Oklahoma, but then injuries derailed his sophomore year, some fumble issues. He didn't play much. So he came in, and at first we thought, oh, sweet, Justice Haynes, we kind of got outpriced in the market for him, and he went to Georgia Tech. So he can slide in there. Now we've got him, Savion Hyder, and Jordan Marshall. What a running back room. Then we learn, eventually, that he's actually going to start out with the safety room. And I talked about how he could just be straight safety, but I would not be surprised if he is going to play that safety slash linebacker hybrid role that Jay Hill has had in his BYU defenses. So we shall see. But he also, I would not be surprised if he still played some running back. If there's a big injury, we don't want that to happen. But if there is, he would definitely, I think, play a lot more in the running back room. But Sione Vaki, who's on the Lions now, was a great running back and a great safety for Utah. He played both ways, and I could see Taylor Tatum doing that too, especially because he doesn't need to be a workhorse. They've got Jordan Marshall and Savion Hyder, but Taylor Tatum could come in for a running play here or there and also play safety. So that's exciting to me. I'm excited to see what he does on this Michigan team. So that was a big get. And in that same vein, they added to their depth by bringing back Bryson Kuzdal, who was in the transfer portal. They got him to come back. And they've got some exciting youth behind there in Micah Capana and Donovan Johnson, who, look at this picture, first of all. Wolverine with the Wolverine claws. Come on now. But he was someone everyone was excited about, but he had a little bit of injury stuff coming out of high school and last year. So he's going to get a chance to show what he can do. So there's still a lot of depth there. Loved that Taylor Tatum pickup. Awesome stuff. Then we got a couple of big ones because people were worried about the defensive line. We have a lot of talent in there, a lot of potential, but not a ton. We lost a ton to graduation. We had a lot of veteran players on that defensive line the last couple of years that have gone on the edge and in the interior. And we've got some returning guys that I think are going to be awesome that have been waiting their turn, and now they're going to get it, and I think they're going to shine. But we needed to bring in some proven guys, and they did. They really did. First, the big fish that everyone is pointing to as one of the handful of players that make this a top 10 transfer portal class for some in someone's eyes, and that was John Henry Daley, the edge from Utah, who was absolutely tearing it up, playing on another level before an injury side-railed his season. But he says he's going to be back. He's working hard, and he's excited to show what he can do on a bigger stage with more eyes on him. Like, I'm really excited to see what he can do, and I think he will come back. May take him a little time to get back used to things. You know, it's always tough after an injury like that. But I think he will be back, and I think he's going to make a huge impact, and he's an amazing player off the edge. I cannot wait. He's a game wrecker. But then they also got from Utah a defensive tackle, an interior player, Jonah Lea'ea, who I've talked to some Utah fans, and they love this guy. I've watched film. He looks awesome to me. Yes, he's 280, so and I think maybe 285. He could bulk up, but he played fantastic out of that defensive tackle spot. So I think he's going to be good. There's been a lot of great interior players who weren't over 300 pounds. And we've got a lot of 300-pound interior players already in that room that are gonna play. And you put someone like Jonah Lea'ea next to him, or you move him around, and he was a stud, very good player. So people are sleeping on him. He gets written off a lot when people talk about the transfer portal or the defensive line, but I think he's going to be a big-time player for this team, and I think we're going to love him. So watch out for him. I'm telling you, don't sleep on Jonah Lea'ea. Huge pickup for that defensive line. Then you started to see them really reworking the offense, and all of a sudden getting hyped for what they were doing, right? Because you saw them snag some wide receivers, and it was like, dang. Of course, I mentioned Salesi Moa. I did a live stream reaction to his announcement at the Polynesian Bowl. That was a lot of fun. Check that out if you weren't with us then. That was a blast. But Salesi Moa is going to be an amazing piece of that offense. He'll play wide receiver, defensive back. I think he'll play on special teams, returning kicks and punts. But Salesi Moa, amazing addition into that room. But they got two studs to really help out Andrew Marsh and to help out the depth behind there that haven't gotten a chance, like Browder. I think I'm really excited about him. I can't wait to see what he can do with the new coaching staff that will hopefully give him more opportunity. I mean, the dude's 6'5", come on now. So that's exciting to see what he does. But they brought in from Utah, J.J. Buchanan, who everyone thought a tight end at first, but then his welcome image, graphic, said wide receiver. And at Utah, he played mostly in the wide receiver spot. He didn't play a lot of traditional tight end because he's just a pass catcher and a baller. Like, he's quick, he's big, rangy, and he makes contested catches like nobody. Like, he is going to be amazing in this offense. But they weren't done there. You add him in there, and we've got some good tight end depth already coming back with Zach Marshall, with Hogan Hansen, with Deacon Tonelli. So they've got a good tight end room, and now you've got somebody like JJ Buchanan who you can split out and play at wide receiver. And now you've got another one that they added that really completes this wide receiver room. And all of a sudden you've got all these weapons, and you look at the running backs. But that is, they added from Texas, Jaime Ffrench, who was a freshman, so he'll have a bunch of eligibility left because he redshirted. He didn't get playing time. He had a lot of good receivers ahead of him, and he wanted to come here to show off what he can do. And you watch his high school tape, man. Whew, that dude is electric. He just knows how to get the ball open. He's very smooth, a great route runner. He knows how to make people miss, and he's got some breakaway speed where he can just take off. So he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And all of this, Andrew Marsh, think about last year, how good he was when he was, I mean, I love Donovan McCauley, and he was a solid, great receiver, but we didn't have much else besides that. And somehow Andrew Marsh had the year he had as a true freshman. Imagine what he's going to be able to do now when you've got problems everywhere else. Somebody's got to worry about Jaime Ffrench. Somebody's got to worry about JJ Buchanan. Somebody's got to worry about Salesi Moa. And now they also got to worry about Andrew Marsh. You double Andrew Marsh or try to take him out of the game, one of those other guys is going to make you pay. So I am just beyond thrilled with what they did with the wide receiver room, and we're about to see some offense and some wide receiver play that we have not seen for a very long time, if ever. So I'm really, really excited. And then they weren't done either. You look at the QB room, we all love Bryce Underwood, but he's going to have to make some strides. He's going to have to grow, and I think he will under this coaching staff. But when you looked at the QB room, if he were to get hurt, and the reason why he probably played as a true freshman, we didn't have much else behind him. You know, Mikey Keene, I was excited they got him, but he was injured. And then our backup was Jaden Davis. Love that guy, but he couldn't even play the year before when we had what we had with Davis Warren and Alex Orji. So they just completely reworked that QB room, and now it's a strength. And you got QB coach Coy Detmer Jr., who's awesome and killing it. Just an amazing room. So what did they add? A QB with a lot of experience, a lot of playing time, who's got multiple years of starting experience, and that was Braden Fowler Nicolosi. And there is some question about his how I know the right word. He has had some antics. He is very confident, which can come off as cocky and arrogant. But he's got some swagger, confidence. He's a gunslinger. He'll take some risks. He'll push the ball downfield or try to squeeze into tight windows. But this coaching staff is going to help him with that. And I also think this coaching staff will help him grow as a person too. A lot of his antics and, I don't know, some of it was just confidence and trash talk. I really remember how he was with their battles with Colorado. Some of the things he said, like let's see how all those Instagram followers helps you on the field and all that stuff. But if you remember, Colorado State's coach at the time also was kind of saying the same type of things, and I'm sure the players fed off that. But he's not going to have that here. Kyle Whittingham, Jason Beck and company, and Coy Detmer, they're going to expect a level of maturity and professionalism from him. And he's here to help push Bryce and to help Bryce learn. So he has to set an example, and I think that he will, and I think that he's going to grow, and I think coming here will be great for him to learn from these coaches and to grow as a person, which is something that I think Whittingham and his staff really want to do. They don't just care about them as football players, they care about them as people. And they want them to grow into great young men. And I think that's something that we're going to love to see. And we're going to see a lot less of the junk we saw under Sharon Moore. But they weren't done there. That would have been a nice ad in itself, coupled with some nice freshmen coming in. But they added somebody else that this one was wild when you really look into it. And that was from LSU QB Colin Hurley. And I'm excited about him. He is young. He'll be a redshirt freshman, so he'll have 4 years of eligibility. And he's younger than Bryce Underwood. And he has a lot of talent, a lot of skills. Watch him his tape and you'll get excited. So now you've got these two guys behind Bryce. You've got a young prospect with loads of talent, and you've got this wily veteran gunslinger, and now they can battle each other for the backup job, which is going to be a fun thing in itself, especially to watch at the spring game. And they can push Bryce. So all of a sudden this QB room is just incredible. And, if Bryce has the next couple of years like I think he will under this staff, let's say he goes off this year, next year, and then he goes to the draft after his junior year. Well, now you've got Hurley, who will be entering his junior season, if that were to happen. And all of a sudden, bam, he's ready to rock and roll. And he's got so much talent. Or one of the bajillion awesome QB recruits that they're offering and bringing in left and right, it seems like. So just the QB room, the QB position, like many of these, is a strength now and a bright spot going forward for the foreseeable future. We don't have to worry about QB. They've got a lot of pieces there, so that if anything happens to Bryce or at all, we're going to be in good hands. But they weren't done there. They were able to retain a lot of their offensive line. They've got great starting five and some great depth at the guard and tackle spot. But what they didn't have was somebody that could really play center behind Jake Guanera. And they brought somebody in who can not only play center, but could play some guard too. And I'm excited about this pick. And again, another young guy who has some experience, but will have lots of years of eligibility to grow into a role, for sure as a depth and rotating in player, but could get a starting job in the future. And that is from Nebraska. They got Houston Cayaena Torres. And I'm excited about him. He's got quick, agile feet, super smart guy, like academic all guy, but also just plays tough on the field, very strong, and just like I said, an intelligent player on and off the field. He's going to be a great depth piece of that offensive line, but going forward, he has a real chance to be a starter down the road. So another great, just foresight, smart addition to just add more depth and make a unit a strength. I cannot wait to see what Jim Harding does with all of these great offensive linemen and all this potential. Oh man, the offense is going to be great. So now let's see what they did. They added to the defensive line, made that stronger, but now they had to look and be like, okay, secondary needs some help too. They were able to retain some players, but they did lose some. So what were they going to do? Well, at cornerback, they got Salesi Moa. He'll play some cornerback, and he was very good there. But someone who will play a lot of cornerback, they brought in another one of the players that people were super excited about, and that was from Utah, Smith Snowden. Just an absolute playmaking monster, who also played some offense as well. So it shows how much of an athlete he is. So they brought him in. He's going to slide into that nickel cornerback spot. He is going to be incredible next year. We are going to love seeing him on the field. And now all of a sudden they get back Jair Hill and Zeke Berry, and you got Smith Snowden. Like, what a starting group already, plus all the depth of youth behind them that are going to get a chance to slowly show what they do. Somebody like Shamari Earls is going to get a chance to play a lot more with this coaching staff and rotate in. Can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do. And yeah, it's just going to be amazing. We got Winston, who I'm really excited about. I don't know if he'll play more safety or cornerback. Maybe both. We'll see. I don't know. But that room is suddenly looking really good. And then you look at safety. You know, they lost TJ Metcalf, which was a bummer. And they had also lost Jaden Sanders from the cornerback room. So who do they bring in? They bring in a dynamic playmaking safety that I think will be able to take that spot that TJ Metcalf had and grow and be an amazing player. And that is from Memphis, Chris Bracy. I love the Bracy pickup. He is electric. He is gonna be so much fun to watch. He's a ball hawk. Cannot wait to see him on the field. They just got some playmakers back there, and then also they weren't done. They added another incoming recruit. He asked for release from his Cal signing, and he came to Michigan, and that was Ernest Nunley, who is another ball hawk, dynamic player with a lot of potential. And he could get into the rotation because he is really good, or he could learn and just see him here and there, and he can redshirt, and he can be a big piece in the future. Again, foresight, seeing we've got the safety room that has potential but needs some more pieces to become a strength. Bingo bango, they add a couple pieces, and now it's a strength, because now you've got Rod Moore, who got his another year of eligibility. You've got Mason Curtis coming back. They got Jordan Young to come back, our freshman from last year who got a lot of playing time and flashed. And now you've got Chris Bracy in there as well, and Ernest Nunley. You've got some depth behind there, like I talked about Winston, and some other ones. And it's like, man, you've got some good pieces. So all of a sudden this whole secondary becomes a strength, and I'm excited about it. And then finally, the linebacker group. This is the group that everyone's the most worried about, and I get it. We don't have a for sure thing in there at all. There's a lot of potential. What's already there. I really love Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. I think he's going to be a stud. He was highly recruited, and now he's getting his chance after kind of learning behind some veterans for a while, and getting some playing time, flashing what he could do. I think he's going to be special. Same with Troy Bowles, who came over from Georgia and kind of flashed and got in some spots, showed us the potential, and now he gets a chance to be a guy, and I think he's going to do awesome. Same for Chase Taylor. I think he's going to be really good as well. But now that they needed to add to it, so what do? They bring in a couple of players who played under Jay Hill at BYU, who know his defense, and that he's comfortable with, and they can not only help the team in general by playing, but they can help the other guys learn and understand their role as linebacker because they've been there and done it. And that was first bringing in Max Alford, family connection, of course, with Tony Alford, the running back coach. But Max Alford was beginning to carve out a nice role with BYU down the stretch last year, and I think he could be a really solid, good linebacker here. I think people write him off a little bit, saying, oh, he just came because Jay Hill, and he's family with Tony Alford, but he's got a lot of potential too, so I think that was a huge get. And then also, Salesi Moa, his brother, got a lot of playing time at Michigan State, Isaiah Moa, and he's coming over, but he spent the beginning of his college career was at BYU under Jay Hill, so he knows that defense. So you've got these guys that have not only collegiate playing experience to help with this inexperienced group, but also guys that know Jay Hill's defense. So not only can they play at a high level, but they can help teach the other guys, and that's huge. They also added Christian Pierce from Western Illinois. Just a confusing thing when he first came out. There's another Christian Pierce on that team. He's a safety, and they had their stats both the same. So first everyone thought, 100 tackles, wow. But he was just a freshman and didn't really play that much. He's the brother of Trey Pierce, who we wanted to come back, and the interior defensive line, who's going to be a stud for us next year. So it was kind of to help that happen. But Christian Pierce, he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of raw potential. And I think with this coaching staff, he's going to improve. And then down the road, he could be somebody that can play a major role. But for now, he's going to learn. He's going to be another body in that room. He could be a good guy on special teams. Or who knows? He gets the good coaching through spring practice, and we're talking about him being a great part of the rotation. Who knows with this coaching staff? You never know. But Michigan wanted to get somebody else, somebody that has shown and proven what they can do on the field when they've had the opportunity. And we got one that everybody is just writing off. But this guy is going to be a beast. He is going to be one of those linebackers that we just always remember and love watching play. And that is Nathaniel Staehling from North Dakota State, which that school is a powerhouse. They coach their players up well. A lot of them have transferred to bigger schools. There was a lot of them in the college football playoffs last year. I did a short and a video about that. Some from North Dakota State, but also other FCS teams. So don't sleep on that. And I think he's going to be great. First of all, he got his chance finally to start last year, and he made the most of it. He had 70 some tackles, second leading tackler on the team. And he showed that he can be a playmaker with 3 interceptions, 2 of them pick sixes in a playoff game, which is on the biggest stage. And he had some sacks, he had some forced fumbles. He is a brilliant guy off the field, all academic, in the conference and in the league. Very smart, very intelligent. But also on the field, he plays with an edge and he plays angry and he wants to hit people and he flies around. And people think that he's just a traditional slow middle linebacker, but this dude is not traditional or slow. If you watch him running, he can look lumbering, but he's got some quickness to him, and he is way more athletic and dynamic than people give him credit for. Because if you watch my old video, in high school, he played quarterback, running back, wide receiver, linebacker, and he kicked and punted for his high school team. And he didn't just play those spots, he played them well. On offense, he accounted for almost over 2,500 yards of total offense and 30 touchdowns between rushing, catching, and throwing balls. I mean, this dude is amazing. That doesn't just happen. Like, it's not like he played against ghosts or something. Like, he was playing against other people. Like, if he was slow and lumbering, he wouldn't have been able to do all that. So just don't sleep on Staehling. Don't sleep on this linebacker room. And don't sleep on any of these additions. You can hear how pumped I am. It's because when you really dive in and look at them, not only do you see their potential, but you can see how they have reshaped a lot of these position groups, made them a strength, or at least gotten them to a point where you can get excited, like the linebacker room. And maybe they'll add more. There's still a lot of players in the portal. I trust this coaching staff completely. If they get going and there's a player out there that's going to help, they're going to bring them in. And they're not afraid to switch positions. They'll do whatever is best for the team. And something that's cool about that Taylor Tatum thing is that he's all in, like they've got not only good players that are going to be good on the field, but players that are all about the team, are the right kind of guys. You heard me talk about how a lot of them are very smart and all academic type guys, but also really good on the field, leaders. So a lot of these guys that came in were team captains on their team. So it's just incredible. Like I said, breath of fresh air. This portal class is incredible, especially when you consider they were behind the 8 ball. I'm excited for what they're going to do this year, but what I'm really excited about is to see what this coaching staff can do next year in the transfer portal when they're already established and hitting the ground running from the very start. Just imagine the kind of portal class we can get next year when this is what they do, when their backs are against the wall and they're short against time, and this is the class they pull. I can't wait. All right, and at the end of every video, like always, we're going to take a look back at yesterday's question of the day. I do a question of the day every day, where I ask Michigan fans a question, and we have a good time talking about it. So let's take a look at yesterday's question. I asked, what Jim Harbaugh era loss hurt the most? And your options were trouble with the snap against Michigan State. We all remember that. That's like one of those, where were you when this happened moments. Along with the TCU debacle in the playoffs when Michigan forgot how to play defense, made some questionable decisions inside the 5-yard line on more than one occasion. We had some questionable referee calls that could have helped us not go completely off the tracks early on. Just a wild game that made zero sense. They looked completely unlike the team we saw all year long. That one was tough. Or one of those games where you just wonder what would have happened with Michigan's trajectory if this had gone differently. But the J.T. Barrett was short game at the Horseshoe when Ohio State went for it on 4th down and won. And he was stopped short. You can watch the replay a million different ways. He did not get the first down. They called it a first down. They reviewed it and they called it. They still kept the call on the field. And then the very next play, they run it in for a touchdown, win the game. That was a bummer. And the other option was other. Let me know if there was a different one, because there's been a lot of tough losses. But the results are in. There was a lot of votes for all of them, but the winner was JT Barrett was short. I think I think we all can get that one. I mean, it's all hurt in different ways, but I think that one was the toughest because just because it was right there, and it was something that wasn't like they made a mistake. Like, you know, in TCU, there's some things out of their hands in that game that you could point to, but most of it was just terrible defense, some questionable play calls, and just not playing up to their standards they had set throughout the year. And the Michigan State game, that was an error by the punter, which sucks. And that one sucked because it was against Michigan State, but they recovered and had a nice season still. But the JT Barrett short one, if they win that game, that the end of that year goes way different, and who knows what happens the next few years. That game really, I feel like not only did it hurt us and rip us apart, but I think it did for Harbaugh, his coaching staff, the team. They really just kind of backspun after that, and we were just getting blown out by Ohio State for a while, and it took a long time to kind of get back on track after that. So that one, I would agree, that was probably one of the most heartbreaking ones because it was completely, they played their hearts out, they should have won, and it was taken from them from a bad call. So yeah, I would agree, that one was pretty rough. Make sure after this video is done, if you have not done today's question of the day, that you go there right away and vote so we can talk about it in tomorrow's video. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Amazing Bluebeard podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me. I always appreciate when you take the time out of your day and out of your weekend to hang out with me and talk Michigan sports. If this was your first time here, please like, subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of this community. And also, you'll know when I have videos come out. Leave a comment. I respond to everyone. I love to talk to incredible Michigan fans down in the comments. Everyone, no matter where you are in the country with all the weather stuff going on, stay safe, stay warm, and take care of each other. I will see you in the next video. And until then, as always, go Blue.